So some such maybe you'll have to think of, but people think mostly who make these kinds of mistakes that they are very intelligent. But the police commissioner of Gurgaon, one very senior gentleman, came and addressed Maruti young generation, those who joined from campuses, 300-400 people every year, Mr. Deswal. And he shared one story which I still remember. I will talk to you about that. And our people were quite surprised. And I'm sure you are also going to get that piece of surprise just now. Between a donkey and a dog, which one is a more intelligent animal according to you? Dog, right? But Mr. Deswal shared certain figures with the students, Maruti students that day, that on the road, on the highways, only dogs are, overrun by cars and they are lying dead, right? Have you seen a donkey lying dead like that on the highways, on the road? Why? Because dog considers himself very intelligent and running here and there and taking risk and making job changes, isn't it? Getting into professional accidents. Avoid. Everything which appears in front of you, don't take it for granted. My humble request to you is, take your call after a little cool thinking of what exactly is happening. A little pause. Even count 25, 30. That will give you a better sight of what you are going to decide. Count 50 will give you a more clearer picture of what you are going to decide. And in Japan, typically, when we make decisions, what we have learned from them, you give me one proposal, sir, this has to be implemented. I'll ask you why. You will explain, justify. Again, I'll ask you second time, why? Third time, why? Fourth time, why? Fifth time, why? I'll ask for 5 times more details from you. That's the way Japan works. Not once. Indian professional will not even ask, sometimes even once, just blindly sign. Don't even read what they are signing. So to a great extent, maybe when I look at Charles Darwin, I am sure there is something which you must remember. It is not the strongest species that has survived, nor the most intelligent one. It is the one which has the highest adaptability. That is what you will be subjected to. Adjust to this requirement, adapt to this expectation. That's what is corporate life. And you have to sacrifice few things if you want to look at a career. Last 35 years I have sacrificed relationship with relatives. My relatives maybe don't like me, but they have to like me because of the position at which I am. But maybe otherwise, because whenever I am going to some wedding with great difficulty, I am able to go there. This flight gone 2 hours, next flight back. And then I ask the other relatives, what's your plan? Next 4 days we are going to be here and enjoy the wedding and feast and everything. And I say, well, this is a luxury. Unimaginable. But end of the day, the simple lesson is that somewhere you win and somewhere you, as simple as that, life is going to have demands on you. Why business is so sharp? Why all the time focus is on results? So whatever you are studying here, please try to convert it into some business property, some business value add. Because end of the day that is going to matter. That's the attitude which is required. Somewhere in UK, a lady teacher was handling a class of young kids, 6-7 years old kind of boys and girls. And since the studies were going on for last 1 month, class test and everything, so this Monday she says to the children that today no studies, today we'll only have puzzles and questions and somebody cracks the answer and I give a reward. So the first question she says I'm going to ask will have a reward of 25 pounds sterling cash. And she said, children, tell me who has been the greatest living saint on earth. So one Scottish young boy, 6-7-year-old, ma'am, I have the right answer. Yes, East Clintwood, Saint Clintwood. No, sit down, wrong answer. Another guy from Ireland somewhere, ma'am, I have the right answer. So He also gave the name of a saint from Ireland. She says, this London teacher said, UK teacher, no, sit down. One small boy from Gujarat, Jignesh, ma'am, I have the right answer. Yes, Jignesh. Ma'am, Jesus Christ. Teacher from UK, class happening in London, Jesus Christ, wonderful. Madam said, oh, fantastic, Jignesh, wonderful, you are right. Here goes 25 pounds. Rolling. Jignesh took the money and, but tell me, Jignesh, honestly, how did you find the answer? You know what Jignesh said to the teacher after taking the money and putting it in the pocket? That, man, heart to heart, I knew it was Lord Krishna, but business is after all business. That 6-7-year-old person. But for us to move forward, what exactly is winning mindset for you people? For me, this is winning mindset. When I look at my working career, there have been very tough periods which you have to handle there in your responsible capacity. To a great extent, if you think in a challenging way, if you don't surrender, if you are trying your level best even in the worst of situations to find a way out, that's the spirit, is the first symptom of a winning mindset, of a leader who is going to make an impact into the corporate global world. Second perspective, which I learned way back in escorts when I was just 1 year old in the industry, and I learned it from a senior. He says, keep on thinking, think, there will be a way, somewhere there will be a solution. Thinking is very rare now. People don't think, they just rush, they react. In a rash manner they act, they don't think what exactly is happening. So Maruti in 2007 and 8, in this global so-called recession, which was not the global recession, in our case it was just a slowdown, we did not downsize or take the job of even one single contract worker in Maruti. Not one single person out of 12,500. Because we could decode that this is going to last maybe 6-7 months. It is not a permanent kind of slowdown or recession. And what happened is, after this was over, 2008, 9, 9, 10, then corporate kind of, people going in, hiring from MDI, Gurgaon and Ahmedabad, and the students said, we would like to request Maruti to come and hire us because it's a very responsible company. It did not react in haste during that slowdown period. Also, perhaps when we look at, in difficult times, there will be also an opportunity, positive opportunity somewhere. When the last 18 months there was no growth in auto industries, we had invested heavily into rural marketing and we gained 16%, 15% positive growth. Others were degrowing, -8, -10. Industry, automotive industry is at that point of time, last 18 months was negative growth 6%, 7%. Maruti was doing reasonably fine even in those difficult times. Rural marketing came in as the opportunity in a crisis. Rural people, they buy cars in cash. They don't need bank loans like you and me. So there was no recession there during the last 18 months. Also, perhaps when we look at typically this strong kind of intent that defines the first step towards success. If you are not prepared, then you will never succeed. So intent is the first thing. Focus second. Determination that till the end I will fight is what something also we do in cricket. Last ball we are still not convinced whether we are going to lose. We are still convinced that we are going to win. Best example is Australian cricket. They dominated world cricket for so long. Single team now in the last thinkable memory is Australia. And I met Steve Walk, part of our dealer conference in Macau, and spent some time when he addressed all our dealers, 600-700 dealers. What he said at that point of time is something like this: in good times, don't get carried away. Similarly, in tough times, you will have to really look at preparing better. Maybe that extra 1% will help. To a great extent, a very admired leader, very excellent personality, very good human being, and great to talk to. He talked something extempore, and I kept that in mind what he's saying, and I still thought that I would like to share it with you. is somewhere inspiration and also guidance for you. Three behaviors in my thinking which we define is the concept of stay, say and serve. For a newcomer in Maruti, this is the expectation we have from new employees. A person who has an intense desire to be a member of Maruti, we will prefer to have that guy. A guy who is casually looking for a job, we may not be interested to hire that kind of a guy. A person who consistently speaks positively about the company, about the employees, about the product, about the customers. Not the employee who criticizes the boss, the company, the product and every damn thing. Then what customer confidence will be there in Maruti? 65% of our cars are sold on word of mouth, not because of our advertisement. Maybe Mr. Raman will say to his relative, buy a Maruti because this is the best car, I can trust this company. Best product, very cheap in terms of after sales. On this word of mouth, 65% of cars are sold out of 12 lakhs a year for Maruti. And so is with that passion, with that ownership, that extra effort stretch. Then we need such people in Maruti really. So perhaps somewhere also for you is a small tip for preparing well, And I'm sure you must have seen Bruce Lee's movies somewhere, whether YouTube or wherever. And this guy was a fearsome guy but died very early age in an accident which was quite a mystery, not very sure what happened. He says, I fear not the man who has practiced 10,000 kinds of kicks once only. But he says that I fear the man who has practiced one kick 10,000 times. Execution focus somewhere is going to lead you to good success. Practice, prepared is execution focus, not strategy. To a great extent, Marshall Goldsmith, there is this wonderful book. If you get to read it, it will be very, very refreshing for you. Think beyond, what got you here won't get you there. Is applicable on me, is applicable on you, is applicable on a middle management guy, is looking at the value add, the next change, the next capability. And I met Dr. Marshall Goldsmith at Melbourne and spent some time with him, almost 1.5 to 2 hours, and we are still in touch when he comes into India. Outstanding guy in terms of a top management consultant globally at this point of time. Anybody read this book so far, by any chance? Or another book by Jim Collins, From Good to Great. So whatever I am getting this impression is not a very good impression, and I am being very frank and candid with you people. Because in business I don't talk very polite language. The same thing I am doing to you. When I go to various institutes, you will be going very low in the rating there. It doesn't require any effort from your side. It doesn't require for institute to do anything. If your call, everything, all these books I am talking of, you can put it on the e-terms and reach it in 5 minutes and go through that. And there's one concept in that Jim Collins book that good is the enemy of great. Good is the first and biggest enemy of being great. A good company therefore dies as a good company. They don't become a great company because they think this is the best for us. And that is what was Maruti in 2003 when I joined Maruti as a public sector company transiting to a private sector company. And I was brought consciously by design that Mr. Siddiqui, you come from private sector, you have to transform this company. That was happening to Maruti. Being a very good company at that point of time, it was about to die because they did not want it to go to the great company status. Great company status will require a change. The moment I change something, people get discomforted. If I ask you change your seats in the next two minutes, all the people sitting at the back come here, people sitting here go back, it will be creating discomfort for you, this change. And when actually I change something in the corporate life, it will create more discomfort for you. Now you go to Ahmedabad, you will be operating from there. Hey, yaar, main to Gurgaon apne ghar mein reh raha hu, Ahmedabad kahan chala jaunga? Discomfort. So good and being in comfort zone is the greatest enemy of getting into the great status. So somewhere maybe this effort from your side will help you. And next time if by mistake they call me again next time, then you should be very careful when I am coming next time, नहीं? मारुति का तो सारा इन्फॉर्मेशन आपको बिल्कुल रेडी होना चाहिए उस टाइम के ऊपर. Even coming and some people, 2 of you should come to Maruti and collect all the information, right? And how many of you have Maruti cars in your house? चलिए, one thing is good impression, huh? So this is the comfort zone I was talking about. So it's very simple that if you want to acquire new capability, you will have to get into the pain, you know. Unless you get into the pain, you will not get into the kind of ladder you are looking at. Now last thing is perhaps the realities in the corporate sector will be tough. Adjustment, adaptability, new capabilities will be the focus. So there are 2 golden principles very simply here. The first golden principle says your boss is always right. Remember that in the corporate world. And if by any chance you are thinking that your boss is wrong, then the second golden principle is referred to the first golden principle. Because this reality will haunt you when you start your career. 40 years this reality is going to haunt you. Therefore, perhaps when we look at that independent identity, that risk-taking, that stretch, that acquiring new capabilities, then you will also learn the technique of politely, discreetly agreeing with your boss to disagree. And I also disagree with the board of Maruti. If not every 3 months when the board meeting is there, then at least once in 6 months, I will definitely have a different viewpoint and will always like to talk about it. End of the day, whatever the board decides, that's the final. Coming out of the conference room after the board meeting, I will never give you an impression that I had a different view.